find some sort of harmony and balance.
Ladies and gents, what's up? BC, another episode of Supreme Being. I got my man AJ here.
Hello.
And out of respect for him and to not butcher this man's accomplishments and credentials, I'm going to go ahead and let him introduce himself and let you know and go down the laundry list of all the things that he does.
Thank you, Bryan. Thank you. First of all, thank you for having me on your podcast. Like, I'm truly humbled to be here. Very grateful. My name is Anthony Vazquez. I am a licensed massage therapist and a calisthenic, plant-based jiu-jitsu athlete. And I hail from Miami, Florida. Both my parents are from Cuba. And I was born and raised in Miami for the last 30 plus years. And just looking to get started on this journey called life and just finding my path. And I feel like I found it in this practice and in the world of martial arts. And yeah, like honestly, like this journey that got me here was it almost feels like a movie. Like,
yeah.
you know how, I don't know, like my girlfriend asked me this question a while ago. And she asked me, "It's like, do you ever feel like you're the main character of a movie?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, absolutely. And she was like, "Oh my God, I feel the same way."
Yeah.
And it was really cool because all my life, growing up, I always felt like my eyes are literally the camera lens, and you're just like figuring things out and what's your role, or but then you realize like your role is literally whatever you want it to be.
Right.
And I chose this path, and then I gravitated towards martial arts because of just how hyperactive I am. Mm-hmm. Like I have ADHD, and learning the ins and outs of that and just working around that, you're very hyper aware of your surroundings. You can't help but be very And then I started doing Goju-Ryu karate.
Okay. What age, by the way, did you start martial arts?
So thank you. I started at 11 years old when I first was indoctrinated in Goju-Ryu karate.
Okay.
And by my sensei Robert Young. Shout out to you, sensei, if you ever hear this or watch this. Mm-hmm. I love you and thank you so much for everything that you've taught me. And he too was a very important, influential person in my life. Like, he was also my mentor. And like that karate was honestly the catalyst when my journey of fitness really started. And my passion for martial arts, because when it came to martial arts, I was always like addicted to watching Bruce Lee movies, Jet Li movies, Donnie Yen, Chuck Norris, of course. Yeah. The many other greats, Jean-Claude Van Damme, Michael J. White, the list goes on. Like I wanted to be like them. I wanted to be like that athletic, and I wanted to like learn how to fight and just like learn how to protect myself, more importantly, because I was very even though I was very hyperactive, I wasn't like this self-confidence, this like assured of myself. Yeah. And I just I had a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression over it, because I just didn't know how to apply myself. And then I started, and mind you, I was very, very young, obviously. I was 11 years old, and then I saw a karate studio like across the street or down the street from my house. And my parents asked me do you want to go here? And I was like, yeah, sure. Yeah. And then I fell in love with it. It wasn't easy at first because it's very rare that you ever find a studio that literally like turns off the AC. Like, this is another one. Yeah. This like very similar to my current martial arts gym. Freedom Fighters, by the way. Freedom Fighters martial arts represent. I'll dive right back. We'll put a pin on that one. And like honestly, I really felt like I was in the Karate Kid movie. Like, honestly, like it was amazing because all the moves, it all hailed from Goju-Ryu karate. Right. Like when you watch Karate Kid, especially when you've been in either Goju-Ryu or Shotokan, and Shotokan actually came from Goju-Ryu.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
Goju-Ryu was founded on the 1600s by Chojun Miyagi.
Okay.
And
Is that where they got the name from the movie Mr. Miyagi?
yeah,
Is it from
yeah,
that?
believe it or
okay,
not,
cool,
yeah,
cool,
yeah, that was to pay homage
Nice,
to
nice.
the founder of Goju-Ryu.
Very cool.
Yeah,
I
like
didn't know that.
Yeah, like it's a great lineage. Honestly, great
Sweet.
lineage. It involves not just a lot of striking, but a lot of grappling techniques too. A lot of takedowns. It's a great practice. I recommend anybody who wants to start their martial arts to do Goju-Ryu, or Shotokan, Judo. All those martial arts are great. There's never really a bad martial art. But yeah, and then like after I did Goju-Ryu for about 10 years of my life, and it was great. Like honestly, like I really wish I had the footage of my black belt evaluation. It took me almost 10 years to get my practically 10 years to get my black belt, because my sensei Robert Young, he was very old school. Like honestly, like he was I believe he was Chinese, raised in Jamaica.
Wow.
Yeah, and whenever he talks to you, it throws you off.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's like he commands such.
He's like one of those characters.
He's just
right?
one of those characters
Yeah.
in a movie. Like it's like this is my sensei, this is my master, this is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And he's just so methodical and wise. It's like I am the Karate Kid.
Yeah.
And it was just great, and then finally when I was a brown belt, I was a brown belt for almost 2 years, and then one of the greatest. This is like, can I talk about this real quick?
For sure.
Cool. This is one of the greatest moments that I've ever had doing martial arts, because, like, one of the things that my sensei did preach was, take what you can from other. He didn't frown upon you learning another style. Like, if anything, he wanted you to, like, when he passed on what take what you can from other disciplines and apply it to you. And if you decide to do your own, open up your own school and you want to represent Goju-Ryu, it's okay to add those practices, those other influences, but never forget the foundation.
Yeah.
And that instilled in me, because I still use Goju-Ryu techniques. I still move like I'm still in karate, especially in the MMA world. Like, and one of my best friend was telling me is like, man, you remind me of, and again, I'm not trying to sound vain or anything, but this is just what people have told me, how I move and how I do the combinations, or just like move in sparring. It's like you move like Luke Rockhold or Stephen Thompson. I was like, man, that's too much. I don't know.
Those are like legends in the community.
Those are those guys, especially Stephen Thompson. Shout out to him too. Like he's still kicking ass. Like he's 38 years old, and he's knocking out people like way younger than him in their 20s. So it's just like, it goes to show you, just like age really doesn't matter. Like now coming back to and that's another thing about my ADHD. I like to do like tabs. And it's like, when you...
It's all good, bro. We'll remember them.
Yeah.
Real quick, if I can interject.
Yeah, please.
Is it more the physical prowess aspect of the martial arts that really attracts you? Or is it also like kind of like the mindset, the wisdom, the spirituality of it too? Is it both?
It's both.
Yeah.
Absolutely both. Like, honestly, the self-restraint you gain from just martial arts, and the Taoism, and especially the Stoicism, you learned how to really control yourself, because absolutely what which makes it easier to like walk away from situations, and it just makes you a better person. It really does put you in a better state of mind. Because nowadays a lot of people are just influenced by how many likes they have, or what other people think of them. It's like, you should only care of what you think of yourself. If you're starting to be perceived as like someone who's a very negative person, you should really like reflect on your life and look at yourself in the mirror and see what can I do better. Because that's one of the things that I strive to do, is if I can do anything in my life, is to motivate someone to do better with their lives and become a better person.
Yeah.
You know, and learn the way of stoicism. And I honestly, one of the best ways to even get started on stoicism is to get started on martial arts, because you do evolve. Like you think of yourself as a Pokemon or a Digimon or whatever, you know, you're literally evolving when you learn these practices. You know, you're, especially the kind of coaches you have, like my masters, my current masters right now, and my coaches, Manolo Lopez, shout out to you, and Ray Fondora, shout out to you, coaches, love you so much. And they took Yoel Romero to the belt, to the UFC world title.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people, you know, sleep on that. It's like, Ray and Manolo like took these guys.
That's huge, man.
And again, I train with Olympians.
Yeah.
And like literally my gym is what you would think a Tekken gym would be like. Again, no AC, no fans, you know, just hardcore den of lions. And I also train with Cuban nationals, you know. Alexis Vila, that's one of them right there. You know, Jorge Mazarov is trained with us. You know, just a lot of top tier athletes.
It's quite the resume, man.
That's Hector crazy. Lombard. You know, I had to like.
Yeah, when he has to bring a list of all the names, you know, it's pretty fucking extensive. And he was like meticulous too before. He's like, I want to make sure I don't miss anything.
I don't want to, again, like the one thing I don't want to do is rub any feathers the wrong way, you know? And,
well, dude, I appreciate that, because like, and I think that's an extension of, you know, living by that code and doing what you do is, you know, you have so much, thankfulness to give and so much respect to these people. I think that's great, and that's some of these things that you learn going up this way, because I kind of look at it the same way from the limited martial arts or like boxing experience that I have, or just with like my basketball career and all that, is I'm always quick to say, oh yeah, thank you to my coach and whatever. And when you reach a higher level and you're more developed, I find a lot of these people have that in common, where you do want to give thanks, where the people who are on the opposite side of what you mentioned earlier, that just are run by the likes, they want to hide that, you know, and be like, well, it's all about me and me and me. And we realize it's not, man. Like, we're all a den of lions. These are all lions, right? And there's a king lion that taught me, and I'm the cub, and I got to work my way up.
Exactly.
You know? And then when you go through all those hardships, and like you said, 10 years worth of karate to get your black belt, that builds character and builds upon all these things you've been talking about. And what I love about that is it's not overnight.
No,
this has been a lifetime of dedication.
It's a process.
100%.
A lot of and believe it or not, a lot of people quit because of that process.
Oh, yeah.
Because this is really how your mental fortitude is really challenged. You know, and like that's why you do need this in your life, because you need a form of challenge. You know, especially as a man. You know, and you need that, because we are the warriors that hold back the enemy. We hold back the enemies at the beck and gate, you know?
Yeah, the monsters, the
monsters.
And do you believe, because they are aware of that capacity, like the powers that be, whatever you want to call them, that there's this attack on the man and masculinity and all that?
Absolutely. Everything that I'm saying, I'm probably being perceived as a narcissist, misogynistic, you know. But
add whatever phobic.
Add whatever phobic, but all I am speaking is, you know, from the heart. This is, you know, things that I've had to like learn throughout, you know, my years of in my years of this journey, because there were I'm not perfect. Like there are times where I fall on my face, you know, and I really look back and I was like, is this really what I want to do? You know, I question myself, and that's where the mental fortitude comes into play. You know, your willingness to rise back up. You know, especially when you feel like you're beaten down and just like, you know, I'm tired, I don't want to train anymore, you know, is this really worth it? Absolutely. That's when you really have to, that's where the mental toughness comes into play. You know, and it shows you what kind of man you want to be. Do you want to be the man that quits when it gets hard, or do you want to be the man that accepts that it's hard and moves forward? You know? So honestly, though, like I learned, I'm just very grateful of my team. Like I'm very grateful of the Freedom Fighters team, because, you know, when I not to say that I didn't gain a level of mental toughness when I was in Goju, or when I went into the Army, you know, but that's another thing. I'm also prior service, United States Army. I was in for 2.5 years and infantry. And when I came home, I was just very lost. And for a few years, I just didn't have that focus, you know?
Yeah.
And when I met my best friend, Mario Sanuda, my business partner, and we'll put a tab on that.
We got 3 tabs open.
I got 3 tabs on it. Just like, we'll circle back.
Yeah.
And he's the one who brought me into Freedom Fighters. And then when I went in there, man, like the atmosphere, it's like I'm literally going into the hyperbolic time chamber. I don't know if you've ever watched Dragon Ball Z, but there is like a special mythical room that these characters go into, and
It's like where all the masters meet type thing.
well, kind of. It's just where you go to like train to push yourself beyond your limits, beyond what you thought was you thought were capable of. You can actually go more.
Yeah.
You know, and these men are the reason why you were able to do it. Like they inspire you. You know, if you don't come in there and you don't be humble, you know, and you don't just, you know, like, hey, you know, show respect to, you know, the people that came before you, you're gonna have a tough go at it, because that's one thing that, you know, many martial art masters or, you know, gym owners, is they should always stay humbled. And I'm not going to get into why I did it like that, because that's a whole nother thing.
Well, it's almost like I could relate it in a way. Like from what I see, it's almost like when they bring in the neighborhood bully to the boxing gym and teach him a lesson. Like, hey, dude,
we get a lot of those.
Dude, and I have to throw this in.
Yeah,
now.
please.
Where does being a licensed massage therapist fit into this whole thing?
I'm great.
Somebody hearing that, having heard that in the beginning, it's like, well, this dude's like a badass, like, and in their mind, they think like, because, you know, society will be like, oh, why? Or it just like, they'll say like, where does that fit into this puzzle type of thing? You know?
I'm really happy you brought that up, and again, tabs.
Yeah.
So how it all fits into this is just how, where it also falls back into my business partner and I, our business. We're called Age of Calm.
Okay.
And our motto is relax, rejuvenate, and recover. Or relax, recover, and rejuvenate.
Okay.
And where this comes into play, you're training hard, you know, and you forget that your body is a machine. You know, we have flesh and blood, but at the same time, what happens when you overuse a body part? It wears down, it gets knots and whatnot. It stiffens up. Same thing with a car. You know, you take a car like every month to get serviced, right? You know, or every once in a while get something tuned up because it's going to fall apart.
Yep.
And this is where massage therapy is so important, because it really does rejuvenate your body. You know, you're literally fixing the circulation in areas that are stagnant. You know, like let's say you've had you thought was a muscle cramp, but it was just tight muscles that accumulated so much adhesions, which are knots. And you get poor blood flow into that area. It reduces range of motion. So I was always very good with just giving my family members massages, like, you know, around the neck, feet, arms. And someone who I was with a while ago suggested to me, oh, have you ever thought about going into massage therapy? And I was like, you know, I never really thought about it. I mean, I thought about it like thoughts passing by, you know, in this highway of thoughts, if you will. Yeah. And
it was never like a serious.
It just never was a serious thing, you know. And then back in 2017, I believe that's when I started at Cortiva Institute of Massage Therapy and Facials. Thank you, Cortiva, so much for giving me great professors to work with, Brett Bao and Frank Storano, or Squanto, sorry if I mispronounced your last name. But two great professors that taught me everything that I know. And helped me even evolve how I do sessions, because you evolve as a therapist yourself, you know? So you start doing things differently, but you never forget the foundation of where it got you there. And ever since then, I started learning about the human anatomy, physiology, the biomechanics of how the body moves. You know, I just became so entranced, and like it goes hand in hand with now coming back to martial arts, because when you're in these type of environments and you're training and you're doing your thing, you know, and you're trying to push your body beyond its limits, guess what? Your body does need recovery days, you know? You need to set aside time to relax, rejuvenate, you know, and recover. And so I come in, you know, some of them that request my services, you know, sometimes it's just specific areas, like 30 minutes, you know, like just work around the back, the neck, you know. I'm also trying to help out my jiu-jitsu coach, Coach Ray, with with his shoulders.
Yeah, you mentioned he had like an injury, right?
Yeah.
Trying to get over it.
Yeah. No. Well, it's just a lot of wear and tear in the jiu-jitsu world, you know, and everything in life, you know, there might be a price that you might have to pay, but if you love the craft and your willingness to keep doing it, you know, look at Ronnie Coleman. He kept doing it until he was just like, hey, and I'm still doing it, you know. So
I still see videos of him working out.
Yeah,
you know?
like it's very motivating. Like he doesn't care. If anything, he regrets not getting those last 2 lifts. Like I'm just like, this guy's a badass.
And dude, the scope even of what you were talking about too with the massage therapy is that's like, I would assume, like a big spectrum too of so much you can do in specializations where people think it's just, oh, someone's gonna come and rub on me for 20 minutes.
It's more than just you know, massaging muscles. It has a lot to do with, you know, there's a lot of physical therapy aspects to it, like assisted range of motion, passive range of motion, you know, active and passive stretches, and a lot of athletes do this on a daily basis, especially basketball players, you know, and and one of my biggest people that I look up to, you know, and some people like don't like this guy because you know, it's like, oh, he's on steroids or whatever. It's like, so what, you know? Like, listen, like this guy is training like 6 days a week, you know, twice, sometimes, like most of the time, twice a day, you know, and he's still kicking it, and he's still kicking ass. And you really think the athletes he's going against are not on something? Come on, let's be real here, you know. But so long as you and I forgot to say his name again, Tabs, Gordon Ryan, one of the greatest, if not the greatest, jiu-jitsu athletes in the world, you know, and hopefully if he's down to try one of our soaps, that would be amazing. But you know, I'm not gonna, you know, knock on wood.
We'll tell you guys about that more later in the episode.
Thank you.
Yeah, obviously.
But what were we talking about before?
Well, I just kind of interjected and brought up, because you were talking about, you know, having been in the Army, you know, we had gotten a little bit deeper into like the whole karate thing. And I guess now we're kind of at a point where, okay, I think now you're in your 20s, 2017, you get the massage therapy, the official license, right? So maybe from 2016, 17 until now, like, what does that look like? Because I know you had mentioned also that you had stepped away from martial arts for a while, right? Did you stop at 21, or? I
stopped at before I joined the Army, actually.
Okay.
Yeah. I was like almost turning 20. Okay. And that was when I when I was 19 when I got my black belt. Okay. And it took me, before that, it took me like 2.5 years to get it. Maybe even 3 years.
From the previous belt to the black belt? Yeah. I'm not aware of
the
rankings.
No. Yeah. No, the rank, like for me, at least, because I was a brown belt for 2 years, you know, and that doesn't say anything about me. Is just, you know, if anything, you know, he'll even decide like, oh, you need to wait a little bit longer. Yeah. You know, it all comes down to like how you are progressing, you know, like, are you showing up every day, you know, and how dedicated are you, the mastery, the movements, you know. So my sensei, Robert Young, really like doesn't test you unless he believes that you're ready.
Yeah.
And he's not one of those guys. He's very fair. He's very, very, very fair, very old school. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
These people that I've had the absolute pleasure and just humbled to be taught by them.
Yeah.
They are legit anime characters. They are literally the grandmasters that you see in anime.
Yeah.
You know, and he really and they're honestly they're very fair. Very fair. If they don't think that you're ready, they're not gonna like promote you or let you know like, hey, I think you're ready for this, or hey, I think you're ready for this competition, like I did something on my black belt evaluation when I was this was around the 2-year marker. And it was time my sensei wanted to see if I was qualified to take the actual test. So there were 2 tests. There was the evaluation, and then there was the actual black belt test.
Yeah.
So the evaluation started from 9 a.m. and then ended at like 4, maybe 5 o'clock in the afternoon. It was an all day thing. Yeah. It was an all day thing, and it's very interesting because. Wow, like that, like just thinking about it, I'm already sweating because there is a mental component as well as there's a physical component in Goju-Ryu. Like they train you on how focused can you be, like can you block out pain, and and again, like they turn off the AC. A lot they had to open up the doors for the people that were there to watch their loved ones undergo this gauntlet or trial, if you will. And so there comes a point where we take off our gi tops, and then we go into a stance, and then now we have to harden ourselves, and then mind you, you're dripping sweat. The sensei is coming around now. He's gonna try to move. He's gonna try to move your limbs to see if they collapse.
Yeah.
So he wants to see how focused you can be, and how tight you can make yourself.
Yeah.
Just how still.
Yeah.
So it's all about also stillness too. And so he comes right behind, and he just hits you in the back with his palms, and it feels like you're being clubbed.
Yeah.
Like it literally feels you're being clubbed by a flat club. Like I can't. Yeah. It just like, and then gets you in the ribs, gets you in the legs, and then.
So he's really making sure.
He's really making sure.
And I'm sure he made you hold the position for a while before he did it too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like and there's almost no prep. You have to focus on what you're doing, and what you're doing is. You're taking your mind elsewhere.
Yeah.
You're focusing your mind elsewhere. You're focusing on other things. You're focusing on polishing your mind.
Yeah.
You're just completely, there's nothing else matters outside.
Yeah.
This matters, And then once you achieve that, you don't feel pain. I didn't feel it. Like I felt the force, like how you feel like you felt like you've been moved, but you didn't feel what moved you.
Yeah.
That's what happened to me. And a lot of other people, they make noises, they grunt, they go, and it's painful, getting hit in the back like that. It's just like, ow.
And I'm sure in that position too, because you don't know, you can't brace because you don't know exactly.
You don't know when it's coming. You don't know when it's coming because you're also focused. So like that's another thing. If you know it's coming, it's gonna hurt. If you focus and you don't care that it's there, it's not gonna. It's not. The pain will not happen.
Yeah.
Because now you're training your mind to go elsewhere.
Yeah.
It's very powerful. It's very powerful because you can take that with you, in your daily life, and you can just like tackle any task like nothing else matters except the mission.
That's what I love about martial arts and all of those principles is, like I always say, they're universally applicable. Mm-hmm. You can apply them anywhere. You just happen to learn it in that context through martial arts, but you can literally add it to anything. So, moving forward with you, man, okay, you do that, you go to the Army. So where does jiu-jitsu come into it? Is it your business partner taking you to Freedom Fighters? Like, where did BJJ come into this whole thing?
Well,
because now you're competing, right?
Yeah, now I'm competing, I did my first competition in June. And man, I was doing so well.
Yeah.
But before I get into that, the question you had was how did I get here?
How do we go from the Gojuru? Is that how you say it?
Yes, Gojuru.
Karate to BJJ? Because to most people, are going to be like, "What the hell?"
Yeah,
Those are two completely different
two
things.
completely practice disciplines. Honestly, it took my best friend to like get me back into the gym, you know, and he was like, "Listen, like you're a specimen, Anthony.
Yeah.
Like you would do really well in this environment, you know, and you need to be surrounded. You also want to be surrounded with the right people,
Yep.
you know, people that's going to help you grow. You know, if you are stagnant and you don't know where your life is going, first thing you want to do is address the elephant in the room. Who am I hanging out with, and why do I feel this way? Because honestly, it could also stem down to, you know, the people that you're hanging out with. And unfortunately, you know, my girlfriend and I, we had to cut ties with people that, you know, just weren't good for us anymore.
100%.
You know, and we want to be around like more better, influential people.
And you see the immediate impact when you cut them out, huh?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's where I get called. Oh, I think he's manipulating you. I think he's a narcissist. You know, all
I
kinds
went
of
the same thing, bro.
yeah. It's just all kinds of just
And
unnecessary.
eventually, those individuals expose themselves.
Yeah, and they,
Yeah.
I didn't even have to do anything.
Yeah.
They exposed themselves.
Yep.
You know, and it's just it's funny because like. I don't know if I actually, you know, you're very familiar with synchronicities,
Yep.
you know, and once your life is going in a direction, you know, the universe does get rid of people that are no longer, you know, good for you.
Yep.
You know,
No longer in alignment with what you're doing. Yeah,
with your
100%.
goals, especially.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and God is good.
Yeah.
God is good. And now coming back to this, so. Man, I'm totally sorry.
The right environment, the
right
right
environment.
people. He said this environment would be perfect for you.
So
Yeah.
I went one day, and I was just, I'm not gonna lie to you, I was nervous.
Yeah.
I was nervous because I felt like
Was this day one?
this was day one.
Day one.
This was
All right.
day one, and I was thrown into
Yeah.
the gauntlet.
Yeah.
Like thrown into the gauntlet, and I was going in the morning, and at 10 a.m. and then I would leave at like 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
You know, so it was like almost like
Yeah.
half the day
Yeah.
gone. But
Part-time job.
Part-time job. Yeah, part-time job, literally.
Yeah.
You know, and then I would also go at night too,
Yeah.
because that was Coach Ray's world. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
Like Coach Ray's world is jiu-jitsu, wrestling, you know, and there are judo aspects too, but it's mostly jiu-jitsu. And it was quite a trial because the day one, again, I felt like I was a wolf.
Yeah.
But when you walk up those stairs, the heat, the atmosphere, the energy, it's like, the hell am I? Like I just walked into Tekken world, and I'm just like, yo, any one of these guys could take me apart like nothing, like I'm from nothing, and it's just like, instead of it intimidating me, it inspired me.
Yeah.
It inspired me. It truly inspired me because like these guys were superheroes in my eyes, you know, like they were professionals in the craft.
Yeah.
And I learned so much from every single one of them because they all had their strengths, you know, and which speciality they you know, so you can take apart.
Yeah.
You can take here and there, you know, and everybody's great, you know, you know, sometimes, you know, people rub each other the wrong way, but then you get over it real
normal.
quick. You know, it's normal. You know, there's a lot of animosity, especially when guys are about to get into, you know, into their fights.
Yeah.
You know, shout out to I always forget my team's name, their last names. So Officer Lewis, who.
We're being thorough.
Yeah, Officer Lewis Parati. I apologize, Lewis. Don't
You
kick
know who
my
you are.
don't kick my ass if I mispronounce your last name. I probably did, but he's a Miami-Dade police officer, and he actually became the fastest knockout in MMA history.
Oh, wow. Nice.
1 second KO. Like, he knocked the guy out with a beautiful roundhouse kick to the head.
Just right at the beginning.
Right at the beginning. Like, they were about to go at it, and he just like,
bah, done.
Knockout. And
Picture perfect.
Picture perfect.
Yeah.
And and there was a lot of speculation, like, oh, like they were about to like touch fists. That was a cheap shot. And like, replay it. There was no, like, you can clearly
protect yourself at all
protect
times.
yourself at all times. Like, what's his name? Dania Cormier. You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I probably mispronounced his name too. I'm really bad with names. But he was in a video interview talking about that. It's like, hey, a fight's a fight.
Yep.
And you can clearly, he was backing up Lewis because a lot of people were trying to like crap all over Lewis's his spectacular, KO. Like, that was beautiful. Like, get over yourselves. Like, he just made history, you know? And people want to be salty about it. It's like, and you know what? You're going to get haters.
Of course.
You're going to get haters, but you know what? That's what the game is all about, overcoming adversity.
Yeah.
That's the word I was trying to go for at the beginning, that's why a man faced with adversity needs that in his life, because that's how he grows. That's how he overcomes, that's where he finds himself, like, what kind of man are you? You're a man that cowers when you're faced against adversity, or are you a man that, yes, I accept that I'm afraid, but I'm going to go forward, Do
you kind of take that same attitude? Like, let's say you work on a client, like an athlete, and you're working on
absolutely.
Injury, no injury, but do you kind of tackle it with that same mindset? Like, you know what? I'm going to...
Absolutely.
Oh, he's got this deep-rooted issue. I'm going to figure a way out. Like, is it kind of the same thing?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because there are times where I feel like, damn, I don't know am I really making impact on these people? And I have...
Oh, you are, bro. I can tell you from... He's great at what he does, but man, like, it is incredible, the results, but you feel it for sure. Like, halfway through our sessions, right? I'm like, and he's just laughing, and I'm like, dude, I'm already sore. But I can speak from experience, bro, like the amount of improvement that I get in blood flow and just overall range of motion. Like, I think I broke one of my calisthenics records like 2 days after we did a session because I got some knots out in the scap.
Yeah.
And believe me, like, it was worth the pain, right? And it's not like pain like someone stabbing you, but if you have knots, you're not going to unravel the knots and resolve that, whether it's rotator cuff, without some discomfort. Yeah,
you're not going to get that kind of therapy going to, Massage Envy or Hand and Stone. You need, like, therapy, not something that's like spa, because and there's nothing wrong. I'm not trying to like bash on these spas or anything like that, but if your goal is to like do and go into the world of sports, you need sports therapy, you need sports deep tissue, you need trigger point therapy, you need range of motion therapy, you need structural therapy, which handles a lot of like assisted range of motion, stretches, activations. Because a lot of times you do need like pre-work. Some athletes use it, some don't. Not everybody takes advantage of. And honestly, massage therapy is very underlooked. Especially when you're going about it. Like, physical therapy is great, but at the end of the day, who's really like getting rid of those knots and helping you, return to range of motion, and cycling through that old stagnant blood and then bring about new, fresh, oxygenated blood. A lot of things are improved, not just your quality of movement, your strength, your output, but also your ability to sleep better. You're able to relax your mind better. It improves all quality of life.
Yeah, it's like a trickle-down effect.
It really is. Like, honestly, you release a lot more tension, and we store a lot of our tension, a lot of our anxiety in our shoulders, So once you relieve those, it's like you literally feel like that saying, like, I feel like weights have come off me.
Yeah, especially when you work with AJ, after that first session, you'll know damn well how much tension you were holding in your traps and your shoulders, believe me. Oh man! People that
will see this or hear this that have had my therapy will know. It's like And they continue to work with me, and I'm very humbled by all of my clients, honestly. And it's just been great. This journey has been great. And if I can come back to the evaluation, so because that wasn't like the most defining moment in
So
that
was
time.
one piece of this puzzle.
That was one piece of the puzzle, and that was like the defining moment was the true testament of your mental fortitude. And what do I mean by that? Here we go. So after 6.5 hours of training, drilling, getting patted in the back, now comes the sparring and grappling aspect. And they have you sparring 2 to 3 people, just striking wise. And then that's where the grappling. There's a little bit of jiu-jitsu aspect in Goju-Ryu, not as in depth as jiu-jitsu, but there is a lot of grappling components. And after I grappled two individuals, I was tired. I was gassed out, and I was just laying on the floor I felt like I had nothing left. And then my sensei comes over to me, and this was really like a Mickey and Rocky moment, Instead of saying, how Mickey was saying like, "Get up, you son of a bitch." Yeah. It's like sensei very humbled and very like, "Anthony, you want to go again?" And I rose up, and this is not cap. This is not a lie. This is 100% real. This actually happened. And if by some chance I can bring my sensei one day, that'd be great. That'd be cool. He can verify this.
Yeah.
I literally quote a line from Naruto, the anime.
Yeah.
And it's like, "Yes, sensei, I will take on anyone. Believe it." Like, mind you, I was a kid who had ADHD, loved anime, and I just wanted to like bring that and I got a few laughs.
Yeah.
And then sensei, was like, "Sensei Al, come, play with Anthony." He put me up against a guy who has been in the Goju-Ryu game for almost 20 years. This guy, he definitely had, I think he also had some judo background, because the way his build and the way he was throwing me everywhere, mind you, I'm very, very good and very good balance on my feet, but I was just tired. I was tired. This guy had a way lower center of gravity. He was strong. He still felt fresh, and he gets me to the wall, and I'm just like thinking in my head, "All right, Anthony, you gotta pull something, wondrous right now, because you gotta impress sensei. You gotta do something." So my brother, my cousin, they suspected something was about to happen, and this was honestly like, again, like, thank you God for having this moment in my life, because this was wow. So anyway, he gets me to the center of the dojo, and I have him by the collars, and then all of a sudden a thought comes into my brain. So have you ever played a game where you're playing like a martial art game, and it's like you don't remember the combos, right?
Yeah.
And you hit the combo combo list.
Yeah.
That's literally what happened in my brain, but instead I'm remembering the combo list of a particular game.
Yeah.
And I just remember the movement and what the game called this move, which was called the vortex throw. It's a legit judo throw toss, but it's not really called the vortex throw. It's called something else. And I can't remember at the top of my head. But so the guy charges forward.
Yeah.
And he's about to like bring his knee up, because he was probably gonna seonage me, which is a judo toss like this. But he was coming forward, so I had to like do it now. This was like the moment was now, and then as he's coming forward, I'm rolling my back. I put my foot right on his diaphragm, and I just roll, and I just judo toss him over my head.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Like, and mind you, I'm 6'5".
Yeah.
So he, like, everyone's just telling me that they all of a sudden, they just saw feet in the air.
Yeah.
And he lands right behind me. Mind you, he landed a little far.
Yeah.
Because of how long my legs
Of
are.
course, yeah, you're a big dude.
And so he drags me. As soon as he lands, I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah.
And mind you, that was when I lost all the strength and mobility in my body, and and he didn't let go, and then he finally let go, and I just like crawling like I'm the Walking Dead.
Yeah.
You know, and I just took every last ounce, and I try to get him in a collar choke, and he just flips me over. He's like, nah, I'm not gonna let this happen. It's like, all right, you win.
Yeah.
But honestly, I didn't need to win at that point.
Yeah.
You know, I had already won. You know? That to me, that's where I won, because I value that I was able to take something that was obviously from another discipline, and to be honest, I have never done judo in my life, never, and I've never done that move. I don't recommend anyone doing a move that you have never practiced. That was luck. If I want to be 100% honest,
the stars aligned.
The stars aligned. Like, that was not planned. Luck was just on my side that day, and I executed beautifully. Didn't even have knee pain, thank God. But after that, my sensei was like, "Holy shit!
Yeah.
Where did that come from?"
Yeah.
You know, and everybody was like screaming. Like, there was a lot of families there. Like, and I can hear my cousin saying like, "That's the vortex. That's the vortex," because he's familiar with the game that I'm referring to, which is called Shenmue. And it was such a defining moment, because after that I had passed with flying colors, and a year after that, I had studied for my black belt. For the actual test.
Nice.
And as much as I want to go into that one, there's really nothing like as grandiose as that. Nothing will take that away until I do my first MMA fight, you know, and we'll see how that goes. But I'm more focused on jiu-jitsu right now.
I love that, man.
Thank you,
That's cool, dude. What a story, man. So where do the soaps come in? Because we brought that up.
Yeah.
We brought up your business partner. That was one of the tabs that we had set. You mentioned, did you guys meet in the Army or after?
So we met through a former mutual friend of ours.
Okay.
And that person, again, talking about how, you know, we had to let go of people that no longer were, you know, good for us, you know, good and vibe. And we really just bonded, because the person that introduced us really tried to turn us against each other.
Wow.
Yeah, it was just
funny
very
how that happens.
Yeah, it was very. I don't understand, you know, why some people like to do this. They just like to stir up chaos, especially in their own friend group.
Yeah.
You know, it's a very toxic way of doing. If you want to talk about toxic stuff, that's really toxic. Yeah. Like, I'm sorry if being masculine and being a motivator for young boys and not wanting to, you know, tell them, hey, don't take shit from nobody.